Machiavelli wrote, "Never reveal the full extent of your strength. Let your enemies believe you weaker than you are, because the moment they think you're harmless, they drop their guard, and that's when the real power strikes. The quiet don't win by noise. They win by disguise, by playing small until it's too late for anyone to stop them. Why do the most dangerous people look calm, even harmless? Why do they sit quietly while everyone else screams for recognition? Because they know something the crowd doesn't. The one who hides his claws controls the fight, not the loudest, not the strongest, the one who looks like he has nothing to prove. See, in a world that worships attention, disguise becomes a weapon. And Machiavelli taught this centuries ago. If you can appear weaker, you'll always strike stronger. There's a reason the most powerful people rarely speak first. They don't show their hand. They don't reveal their full strength. Because in war, the visible target gets hit first. In business, the loudest rise attracts the most resistance. And in life, once people know you're climbing, they'll try to cut your ladder. Machiavelli warned, "It is a double victory to win unseen." What he meant was, if you can win without exposing your power, you win twice. Once in results, once in protection. Look at history. The most dangerous players weren't the ones shouting from rooftops. They were in the background, studying, aligning, waiting. And then, when the moment came, they moved once, and everything changed. But by then, it was too late for anyone to stop them, because no one feared them in time, no one prepared, no one saw it coming. So here's your advantage. Let the world see the mask, not the man. Let them underestimate you. Let them think you're harmless. Then, when the opportunity cracks open, strike with everything you've built in silence. That's not just power, that's untraceable dominance. Power grows stronger in shadows, because shadows are harder to kill. One of the greatest strategic advantages you'll ever have is being underestimated. See, when people think you're weak, they show their hand. They reveal their tactics early. They don't guard themselves because they don't see you as a threat. And that's exactly when you gain control. Machiavelli didn't want you to be seen as strong. He wanted you to look harmless while you prepare to be lethal. Because when you're underestimated, people speak too freely around you. They drop their guard. They expose the very flaws you can use against them. In war, the soldier who blends into the dust is the one who survives. In the boardroom, it's the quiet one who listens, not the loud one who speaks, that walks away with leverage. And in life, it's the man who lets the world believe he's ordinary, while secretly building something extraordinary. That's why you never correct someone who misjudges you. Let them underestimate your drive, your discipline, your depth, because the moment they do, you own the advantage. Disguise isn't weakness, it's strategic invisibility. And the man who's ignored is the man no one is ready for when he decides to win. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most powerful people didn't start by challenging the system. They learned to survive it first. They bowed before they built. They played the loyal soldier before becoming the quiet general. Machiavelli knew this. He advised princes, appear obedient, not because you are, but because power waits for timing, not noise. So in a world obsessed with speaking your truth, the Machiavellian plays a different game. They speak just enough to earn trust, then listen to everything that's not being said. They show up. They play their role. They say the right words, never too much, because they're not trying to be right. They're trying to learn how the system works. That employee who seems quiet, he's learning the politics. That student who never argues, she's watching the hierarchy. And that man who says yes in meetings, he's planning something that doesn't require permission. Obedience isn't always submission. Sometimes it's camouflage. The goal isn't to rebel loudly, it's to study silently until you know exactly where to strike. Because the real war isn't fought in noise, it's won in rooms where no one even knows you're a threat. Sometimes, The smartest thing you can do is let the world believe you're losing. Why? Because nothing disarms an enemy like your apparent failure. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He warned that when you show too much success, too soon, you awaken enemies you didn't even know existed. But when you take a small hit, publicly, you lower their guard. They stop watching. They stop fearing. They start underestimating. And that's where the real game begins. You've seen it in life. The guy who quietly quits his job. Everyone assumes he's struggling, until 2 years later, he owns the building he used to work in. Or the woman who steps back from the spotlight. People whisper, she's done. But behind the curtain, she's building something 10 times bigger. And when it drops, it's too late to stop her. Every false loss is a strategic pause, a quiet setup, a baited trap. Because the powerful don't fear being doubted. They use it. Let them celebrate your defeat, while you engineer your comeback in silence. Appear weak, to move strong. That's the Machiavellian way. Silence isn't emptiness, it's armor. Every word you speak is a map for others to follow. Your goals, your fears, your insecurities, all of it, exposed. But when you go quiet, truly quiet, you become unreadable. And unreadable people are untouchable. You've felt it before, right? That one guy in the room who barely speaks, but when he finally does, everyone listens. Not because he's loud, but because he's rare. Machiavelli would have called that man dangerous, not for what he said, but for everything he didn't. In a world addicted to noise, silence becomes power. It's how you control the room, without ever needing to raise your voice. It's how you protect your plans, without defending them. It's how you gather data, while revealing none. Don't fear being silent, fear being predictable. Because when no one can read your face, they start fearing your mind. That's why the quiet aren't ignored. They're studied, and the day they strike, they don't miss. The truth is, the world fears the visible predator, but it obeys the invisible one. The moment they think you're harmless, they lower their guard. They speak freely, they slip up, they expose what they normally protect. Because people don't hide from weakness, they relax around it. They feel safe, and that's when the Machiavellian strikes. Not to destroy, but to reshape the game, in silence, without resistance. While others roar for power, you simply take it, unseen. Here's the trick. Predictability earns trust. Routine earns comfort, and comfort breeds blindness. When people think they've figured you out, they stop watching. And that's exactly when you move. A Machiavellian doesn't resist the urge to surprise. He prepares for it. He builds patterns, habits, repetition, until the world falls asleep watching him. Then one day, he changes everything. It's like a chess player who opens the same move 10 times. His opponent gets cocky, predictable, and on the 11th game, he sacrifices his queen and wins. You don't have to be chaotic. You just have to be unreadable. Move quietly, repeat your rhythm, then break it when they least expect it. That's how empires are built in silence and defended in shock. The greatest trap is the one buried inside routine. Smart people talk. Strategic people ask questions. See, the ego wants to be seen as brilliant, but the strategist, he wants to win. And you don't win by proving you're the smartest in the room. You win by knowing who thinks they are and using that against them. Ask questions that seem innocent. Let others explain themselves. Let them teach you how they think, where they're insecure, what they hide behind. Machiavelli warned, a wise ruler must learn more from the mouths of others than his own. So let your curiosity be the mask. Let your silence be the sword. Because the moment they underestimate your mind, you've already won the mental war. The ego seeks to impress. The strategist seeks information, and in power, information is everything. The world lets its guard down around kindness. That's what makes it the perfect disguise. People expect ruthlessness to be loud, cold eyes, sharp words, visible dominance. But the real strategist, he smiles, listens, makes you feel safe. Because charm disarms faster than threats. It builds trust, and trust opens the floodgates of truth. They'll tell you their fears, their mistakes, their plans, all because you seem gentle. Machiavelli knew, men are won over more by the appearance of compassion than the truth of it. So give them comfort, just enough. Let them feel seen, heard, valued, and when the time comes, strike with precision, not cruelty. Because true ruthlessness doesn't roar, it whispers and wins. You don't need to win every argument, every meeting, every room. The powerful know some battles are bait. Let them take the spotlight. Let them feel like they've won. Because when ego celebrates, strategy listens. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to lose a little dignity than to lose the whole kingdom." Let that sink in. You're not surrendering, you're storing leverage. Every time you yield on a petty issue, you conserve energy for the real war. Because pride costs too much when you spend it on noise. The wise save theirs for moments that rewrite the game. Let them win today, so you can own the board tomorrow. There's a reason the snake waits in the grass. It doesn't rattle, it doesn't chase. It waits for the moment you stop looking. That's the final law of disguise. When you move, it must be the last move they remember. Because the quiet don't strike often, they strike perfectly, not with noise, but with precision. Not to fight a battle, but to end the war. Machiavelli would call it the art of surgical power. No warnings, no build-up, just one action, so unexpected, so exact, that it rewrites the rules. Power isn't in how many times you fight. It's in making sure you never need to fight again. That's the Machiavellian strike. Once, decisively, then silence. Imagine being so unreadable that no one knows what you're really building. No noise, no bragging, just silence, and moves that echo. You're not invisible because you're weak. You're invisible because you're focused. Because once you understand Machiavelli's secret, you don't show strength to intimidate. You conceal it to dominate. You become the calm voice in a storm of noise, the quiet builder in a world of chasers, the threat they never planned for. That's modern power, disguised, patient, inevitable. And by the time they notice, you've already won.